Hello there, men, and welcome to the Masculinism Movement channel, a place for men to be men and talk about masculinity and men's issues. I'm your host, Brian Crawl, and I got all dressed up in my fanciest suit because this is my 100th video celebration slash update. Last video was actually the 100th video. This is my 101st video. So, obviously, the channel is still kind of new in that I only started it a few months ago, like the beginning of September or maybe the end of August. So it's only about 3 months old, and yet I have done 100 videos. So, that's kind of a lot of content, especially for that time frame, considering that they aren't all really short videos, like 1 to 2 or 3 minute videos. These are 3 to 30-minute videos. And so for the past 4 months, creating this content has actually been my full-time job. And a lot of work has gone into producing these 100 videos and producing them in less than 100 days. So sometimes doing 2 per day. It's been a lot of work, and I think that people these days may not understand how much work goes into producing this kind of content because things have gotten really rampant with consumerism, and everyone wants quantity over quality these days and instant gratification. So, it's not like back in the day when I started YouTubing 10 years ago, where, you basically would buy a camera like I have done and try to make quality videos. And you'd actually plan them ahead of time, maybe write a script for them, or at least write an outline. You would shoot it, you have to set up a sound and light stage, as I have done here, and then you would produce it, and sometimes add captions and other pictures and stuff. And it takes time to do that, and so, once upon a time, you could be a successful YouTuber even if there were long gaps between content. Like if you were only producing content once a week or so, and maybe once every other week, you could still be successful doing that, as long as you were making quality content. But then cell phones became more popular than computers and actual camera equipment, and people started just shooting little video blogs multiple times a day, and the YouTube algorithm got changed to favor those users who were doing multiple uploads a day and to not promote the people who were, only producing content once a week or so. So these days, even if you are making film the good old-fashioned way, by considering it an art form and really working at it, planning videos, writing scripts, creating a whole stage for yourself, and then using real production software and such, and, making videos that are high definition and high quality content, hopefully, you actually are putting yourself at a disadvantage with the YouTube algorithm because of the fact that that takes so much time and work, and it's going to favor these little kids who are just popping their video on multiple times a day just to make some smart remark or film something stupid that's happening to them or whatever, So I've really worked hard to try to make a channel that would adhere to the quantity standards of today. And I had spent over 2 years writing these scripts for this channel. I wasn't doing it as I went. I was doing the writing and the planning of the channel ahead of time. And I've already gone through half of those scripts, okay? So 1 year's worth of writing has already been filmed and produced and put out on YouTube. So that should give you an idea, time and energy-wise, of how much work goes into producing content that is of both a high quality and of a high quantity. And it kind of sucks that time-wise, even though I've been successful in having a very fast, large output, I'm still thought of as a new channel by some people, which is only a problem because there's a lot of people who are subscribing to the channel and then not checking the content that I've already released, which is especially important since a lot of what I'm saying now gets referenced back to things that were said before. And a lot of people are commenting on videos I'm releasing now, bringing up stuff that I've already gone over months ago, when I laid out the basics at the beginning of the channel. So, I wrote out a ton of content all in a linear fashion, just like writing a book. And I've been reading from that. And a lot of people are subscribing now and picking up in the middle, and they don't know what was said at the beginning, and then saying, well, you didn't say this, you didn't bring this up, and this needs to be addressed. And I say, well, I did do a video on this back at the beginning of the channel, so you can go through and look for the videos that are on the topics that are important to you, but this video is on this. and people don't end up going back and looking at them because they only want the freshest, newest content. They only basically watch things when they get released or when they get recommended to them by the YouTube algorithm. And obviously this type of content is already getting discouraged by the YouTube algorithm. YouTube is not going to be promoting my type of content unless I do something to game the system or I pay for promotions. And even then, the YouTube algorithm is very unfriendly to content such as mine. So these are some important things I have to consider, especially since I'm going through all the scripts I've written very quickly at this rate. If I'm putting out a video or two a day, that is a lot of content, and it's not going to be worth it if people are not actually keeping up with it, so I would either need to cycle through it again and re-release everything, or I would need to consider that maybe producing content this fast for this type of channel doesn't help with the YouTube algorithm and I just need to slow down, or maybe I need to take breaks at certain times. I'm certainly not going to be able to keep up this kind of fast work all the time, especially since so far it has yet to actually provide any financial returns. I'm not selling anything on this channel. I do have a company I refer people to where I do sell things, but I haven't sold anything on this channel. I do accept donations now, but I wasn't in earlier videos. It's something I just started doing this week. And like I said, putting out this level of content is something that I have had to make my day job in order to do. So I'm not going to be able to do that if I'm sinking money into a project that isn't financially sustainable for me. I still have to be able to pay my bills, and bills are piling up because I've literally just invested 4 months of my life doing something as a full-time job, as a volunteer, basically as charity work. So I wouldn't be surprised if you saw a slowing down at times, especially on certain weeks. Like this upcoming 2 weeks is going to be a week of heavy training for me as an athlete, so I'm not going to have very much time. And of course the holidays are coming up, so I'm not going to have so much time. So there might be some slowing down. And then when I complete the script, since I'm already more than halfway through what I've already written, I need to figure out what I'm going to do then. And it's either going to be cycling through content or just taking a pause and not doing anything or doing much less and only doing it based on requests and receiving donations. All right, because at a certain point, I'm not going to have enough free time and money and energy to do this out of a sense of charity. I wrote these scripts out of my sense of charity. I do want to do them because they are messages that are important to me to get out there, so I'm willing to take the cost on to do that. But after that is done, if you men out there have things you want me to talk about, I'm going to have to rely upon donations for that. And while I will record any new ideas I have that are important to me, there's probably going to be a slowing down of the content. All right, and if these messages are important to you, it's really important for this to be a community where we are supporting these ideas. And if not through donations, which are very helpful, that does fund me doing this work, at least make sure you are supporting the channel by sharing this content. All right, make sure you're liking the videos as well and commenting on them, but also sharing this stuff on social media, because those are the best things for the YouTube algorithm. All right, and it doesn't matter how fast I'm putting out videos like this that are controversial. If people are hitting the thumbs down button and the YouTube algorithm recognizes that this is controversial content that some people out there, significant factions of people are against, and the people who are with me, my subscribers, aren't supporting the channel doesn't stand a chance. All right, and that's basically what is happening so far, right? Is that at least half, the majority of the viewers are people who are against my messages. They are feminists and liberals and simps and normies and such. And so I'm getting the thumbs down from them, and I'm getting negative comments from them, and I'm not getting an equal or greater amount of support from my actual supporters. So the YouTube algorithm is seeing this and not promoting the channel, right? So, in the end, my channel's not going to be able to survive without support. It's not going to be recognized as, promotion worthy by the YouTube algorithm. So it is really important for people who do support my messages and the work that I'm doing to actually support it by clicking the thumbs up, leaving positive comments, and most of all, sharing the content and donating if you can as well. Otherwise, I can't afford to do this work indefinitely. The most important thing is sharing the videos on social media, but the comment section in the videos is very important too. Engagement there is something that the YouTube algorithm sees and is very stimulating to the YouTube algorithm. If we're having conversations in the videos, that's going to be very helpful, and that's really why I'm doing this channel as well. I'm putting out these messages to start conversations and discussions and debates even. to make sure that we're having public discourses on these things and dealing with these issues as men together, as a brotherhood, as a unified front of masculinists. And if I'm not accomplishing that, it's kind of like, what's the point? And that's so far what has been the case. Most of the comments, like at least half, are from people who aren't for what I'm saying and aren't even listening to the videos because of that. They may have pressed play, heard me say something they didn't like right away, and then commented on that, or not even pressed play, but just commented on the title and their disapproval of the title. And then they just spew a bunch of bullshit, and that's what more than half of the comments that I get are like. And there's been so few actual discussions. There's been like 1 or 2 real debates, and then a small handful of real discussions with people who, weren't debating me. They agreed with me, and we had a discussion about it. But, most of the comments are from people who are either trolls who didn't really listen to the video, or people who, aren't trolls and also didn't listen to the video and are just leaving some random comment. And, it's very discouraging to me because it's like, what am I doing this channel for if we aren't going to talk about these issues? I'm not doing it just to hear myself talk. I'm here to start conversations so we can have very important discussions that we need to have about issues that aren't being talked about and that I need to bring up. But I failed to realize that, they aren't being talked about because no one wants to talk about them, even if someone steps forward and has the balls to bring them up. And if that's the dark truth, this isn't going to actually be a conversation starter channel, and that people are, just going to let this stuff go in one ear and out the other. I'm basically, putting this out there in vain. That sucks. And I'll basically realize that after completing these scripts, and, the channel will just die off, like Sandman has talked about. Happens with most MGTOW channels. They die off after a few months. And I remember hearing him say that and being like, well, I have more than a few months of scripts written, so it'll be longer than that. It'll be at least twice that. But I realized I was talking about things that most people don't want to talk about, and most people don't even want to listen to. So that's a risk that I took that I may have to face the consequences of. But if these issues are important to you, please join in the conversation. I'm not doing this just to hear myself talk. I'm doing this because we need to talk. All right. And if people aren't going to use the comments section to have discussions about these things, I may actually just take the comments section down, since most of the comments are just negative bullshit from people who aren't even listening. I've gotten a lot of hateful comments and what would be called hate speech if a white man like me were saying them. And just a lot of nonsense and trolling that isn't what my comment section is supposed to be for. I created this channel to be like a support group. All right, so I was going to start these conversations, and then hopefully other men who needed to have them with me would join in. And I realized that there would be some trolls here that, I might have to kick out because they weren't being supportive of us in this support group, just as how you wouldn't allow them in a real life support group. But what I didn't realize was that the platform, the comments section, was going to mostly be for trolls. And that's not something that I want. Well, I can go and create a censorship protocol in the settings and write out like words that I want censored from the channel so that, they can't come and call us incels or certain names we don't like. I don't want to have to do that. I'm for free speech, but I'm for free speech so that we can debate about things. Like, this isn't why free speech exists. It doesn't exist so that people can invade each other's safe spaces. And the left knows that, right? But that's what they're doing to us. And I have to manage this as a safe space for men so that, I can create that support group-like atmosphere. And while I may not be willing to go through and create censorship for certain words because we need to be able to say them, like a man needs to be able to come to this group and say, I've been called an incel by feminists and I want to talk about that. That's, something that shouldn't get censored. He should be able to use the word incel, right? So I'm not going to create that censorship tool, but what I might have to do is just close down the comments section or make this whole channel private, especially if engaging in discussions isn't important to you. I might just shut down the comments section and then change the format of the channel so that my videos aren't conversation starters anymore. I'm no longer trying to create discussions and debates and have a support group like atmosphere and build a community, but I'm just basically saying what I want to say and putting out my messages. That's not what I wanted to do. That's not my original intention, but if the comment section isn't useful to my subscribers and you really just want to listen to videos and the comment section is mainly being used by trolls, well, there's really no reason for me to leave it up. So if free speech and having an open comment section is important to you, please join in the conversation and start having these discussions and debates And don't let this be a space that is dominated by trolls. Let this be the community for us that we want it to be. And if there are any other ways that you feel I could help this to be the community that you men want it to be, if there's any course corrections or any topics you'd like to see me address or any questions you have or any ideas whatsoever, please leave them below in the comment section of this video. I will make sure to respond to every inquiry and comment, just so long as I can read and understand it. And that is something that, I don't want to sound critical about. I'm not trying to criticize anyone for trying to communicate and using language or discourage you from doing so. But if I cannot read your comment or your message, then there's really nothing I can do about that. All right, so please make sure that you are typing legibly. Please use proper English and syntax, which means sentence structure, and proper grammar, and stay away from special characters and emojis and emoticons and excessive punctuation or using improper spelling or slang or abbreviations, or switching out one word for another code word. When you're doing a lot of these things all at once, it just makes what you are writing incomprehensible to certain people. All right, I don't know who you may know who can read what you are writing like that. But unfortunately for me, whatever it may be about my reading comprehension skills, I need good old-fashioned proper English in order for me to be able to understand what is being written. So, I will make an effort to read everything everyone says to me, just so long as I can actually read it. So please make sure you are putting in a little bit of effort into trying to communicate and use language properly. Otherwise, I just won't know what to even say. If I've not responded to a comment of yours or an inquiry of yours, it is probably because I didn't understand what you said and didn't, even know what to think or say. Okay. But if you are working on your communication, I will do the same, and we will be able to have conversations and build a community for you here, if that is what you men want. Otherwise, we can take this channel in a different direction if you would prefer that. You may notice that I've already taken the channel in multiple different directions with the content. I started out by going over the basics, then I started talking about philosophy and the spirituality of masculinity, and then I went on to talk more about masculinity from a psychological and sociological standpoint, as well as a philosophical one. I discussed things like masculine traditions, and then I started talking about masculine politics and feminism and MRA stuff, as well as men going their own way content, which I got into more and more heavily, along with the legal side of the MRA stuff, and I proved that we live in a legal matriarchy, not a patriarchy. And then I started talking more about women and dishing on them and dating, which I continued until I started talking about sexuality in the last video. So this channel is something that I wrote in parts, where there's content that is segmented categorically together, right? So that it all works together to prove certain points before moving on to something else in a progressive fashion. So all this content is kind of integral. It all kind of works together because, like I said, I wrote it in book format, right? So that is why it is like this. And what I'm going to be doing in the future is talking more about reproduction and fertility issues and more on relationships with women and female nature and female psychology. And then I'm going to be going into even more and more specific topics as the channel continues to advance and progress. So you can look forward to all of that, but otherwise that actually concludes this update. I hope I mansplained all of that well enough for you guys out there. Thank you for listening. Be sure to share your own thoughts and opinions by commenting below. And if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button and share these messages with everyone by sharing the video on social media and talking about these things too. And lastly, check out the links in the description below for other resources for your masculine personal development and living the life you want to as an independent man. And if you can afford to donate, please do so with the PayPal link below, because your support funds me doing this work and fighting the good fight for men like you. And you can stay tuned for the next video coming out soon, which will be on how the future is male. And make sure you subscribe so you'll be notified when that is. And until then, take care of yourselves, men, because no woman out there is going to.